eggs.
No. Let's not even go there. We already had John asking about it on the chat group, and it's like I don't want to talk about it.
You went for the SEO timing on that, man. You got it in as the first words.
But anyway, we should be talking about deviled eggs. That's what they're called.
I'm not sure I've ever had a deviled egg. I feel like I would like them.
I mean, they're just boiled eggs with like dressing and well, not mayonnaise. It's like, it's just eggs filled. It's just eggs filled with stuff.
Oh.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
I guess it does, yeah.
Depends what the stuff is. It's filled with tar.
I've gotten really into Scotch eggs lately. I love them.
Yeah, well,
Scotch eggs.
Oh yeah, Scotch eggs, great.
Yeah.
As I used to
I've
call
always
them.
liked them.
So there's a pie shop down the road that makes Scotch eggs, and I got one from there the other day. And on the way back, I was eating it, and I was like, do you know what? As a Scotch egg, this is a 10 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 as like any food, but as a Scotch egg, this is the perfect Scotch egg. And then I got one from a butcher near work, and I was like, no, this is the 10 out of 10. So it's an ever expanding scale, but I've been very lucky with Scotch eggs down here.
Well, I mean, like, if you really wanted to go through scale, you have to buy like Scotch eggs from like multiple supermarkets and go, this is a 10 out of 10. Oh, no, this is a 10 out of 10.
The Morrison's Scotch egg that you get from the deli counter is banging because it's not boiled, it's poached.
Whose egg are you poaching?
Morrison's, apparently.
Poor mums.
But no, I couldn't believe it. I bit into it and I was like, this is really soft. How have they done this? And then I looked closer because it was night at the time. And I looked closer and I was like, it's fucking poached. And just before I bought it, I remember thinking it'd be cool if they poached the egg rather than boiled it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really care for Scotch eggs. I go, they're all right.
Try Morrison's one. It might change your mind.
All right. See if like Tesco's have a Scotch egg and see how they compare to the Asda Scotch egg. And we see if they've got like fancy Scotch eggs from Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose. We'll see how they do it.
I can't imagine Asda's going to be very nice.
Wait,
Asda's ones are fine.
I don't know, every time I get something from Asda, I'm like, this tastes like shit.
You get the equivalent of taste the difference range though.
Oh, do they have one?
I think they have it in some particular. They have it in some particular of products.
I don't think we've been bestowed the honour of Asda's fancy range down here.
I have cream egg instead.
Nice.
Oh, I can't have those now. Are you eating a cream egg right now?
Mm-hmm.
That's mad timing. Or do you just have them like? Do you have a stash in front of you? This stash of cream eggs is going to come handy.
I wish, especially the white ones.
It's like in Sky High when Kurt Russell takes he does a little drawer full of mobile phones because he keeps breaking.
I'm just going to pop to Rachel's room and get my power line adapter because my Wi-Fi's shit tonight.
Yeah. I prefer the white chocolate Reese's peanut butter kind of.
Oh, they're good.
The cups. Yeah, they like Reese's peanut butter eggs.
Yeah.
But isn't the problem that the fact that we're talking about Easter eggs in January?
Well, they went on sale on the 1st of January, so you might as well. But
it's so weird, right?
It is. But bring all the eggs, deviled, century, whatever.
Not century eggs. Simon doesn't like that.
No, I do. It's just like everyone needs to not eat them like they're pickled eggs.
just don't talk about them, and then
it's a whole thing, right? So now that he was back for a second. Or is he just plugging in?
5 deviled chocolate eggs.
Deviled chocolate eggs. No, that don't want. Guess you could make that.
Devil chocolate Eggos.
Did you say Eggos?
Yeah. I'll
Like-
do it again.
Eggos.
Like the waffle thing?
Why not? Why not?
He's a secret Stranger Things fan.
That's so secret, even I don't know about. I couldn't get on with Strange, didn't I?
I mean, did you? Oh wait, you watched a few episodes, or did you just like went, no, fuck it?
I just watched the first episode. I couldn't be bothered.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, like if you don't like the pilot, you get, generally speaking, at least you gave it a chance, and like that's all you can really say. You go, I tried it, didn't work, it didn't sit right with me. It's fine.
I don't think you can really get a feel until you watch an entire season.
Well,
yeah. I'm not going to moan about it. But...
You say that, but like certain TV shows are just one season. After you go, oh right, yeah. No one else.
For example, Rob wasn't into Breaking Bad, and he'd only watched like half of season 1. And me and Ben kept badgering him to just finish season 1 and see how you feel afterwards. He ended up watching the entire show and enjoying it.
But I feel like
I know Alec's not going to be the same because find something that he does like.
I love Breaking Bad.
I'm not talking about Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad's one of the best cartoons ever. One of the best animes, if you will. It's in my top 5 animes.
Rob just disconnects.
Oh, is it working now?
Well, no, your screen is your video is not on, so I don't know.
Oh, is it?
They're perpetually upset. I think it was because I called Breaking Bad.
Is that bad?
I love how every time you say it, your voice mutes.
You're just stationary after you're just going.
Do you want to try and kick me out and then I'll join in again?
Yeah. Removed.
But I was going to ask him why did he pick this film?
Oh, I didn't need that.
Does that work?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Hey.
So let's try this again. Rob, why did you pick this film?
It's all parent stuff in it. It's what gets me.
Oh, thanks
so
for that.
we-
We'll carry on.
We've got Mubi Go to thank actually, which sounds like I'm about to go into a bit of sponsored content, but it just helped me out. Yeah, back in March, I had a Mubi Go trial, which is like you paid, I think it's like 15 quid a month or something like that, and then you get a cinema ticket every week. But they specify what the film is that you can watch, and then this particular week it was The Five Devils. And I had no idea what it was. I'd never heard of it. I didn't really know anyone who was involved in it. But I was like, I've got nothing else to do, so I'll go and watch it. So I went and watched it at the ICA, which is on the same road as Buckingham Palace, I think. And yeah, I don't know. It wasn't one that sort of like it wasn't like an instant like, oh my God, this is incredible. But like I remember watching it. I didn't really get it until the end, I don't think. Like which I don't know, it's a weird thing in it because I think I was kind of sat there going like, there's something to do with like magical smell, and I'm not really too sure how this is like. I guess yeah, I don't know. It didn't really sort of ring for me until something happened at the end, and I went, oh, that's what was going on. And yeah, I think like immediately I wasn't like totally blown away with it first time or anything like that, but over the next sort of like few weeks or months or whatever, I think it was something that I kept sort of thinking back to and going like, oh, that was quite cool actually. And then it was the second time that I watched it after I bought it on Blu-ray that I went, fucking hell, that's amazing. And I think that's a nice film. That's a nice kind of film to pick for Film Club, like one that sort of you have to sort of sit
Tough one.
and grow with a little bit. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things in it that I think are really cool. I think the first time I watched it, it was the whole thing about sort of like the possibility of lives that you never led, and sort of if very small things didn't happen, then all of their lives in it would have been completely different, and what that would have meant for each of them, and Vicky in particular. And then there's a whole thing of like Vicky being who she is because of the things that her mum and her dad and her aunt have been through, and then Vicky's daughter, if that is Vicky's daughter at the end, she's going to become the person she is because of what Vicky's been through. That whole thing's really interesting. I think like the whole sort of like generational trauma aspect of it. And yeah, I think it's really cool. Like I really like that it just sort of it goes it does what I think films should do. Like it sort of presents you with a few ideas, and it's up to you what you make of it. And then what you make of it is the depth in it. I think that's really cool.
I think what's interesting there is I didn't actually take that to be Vicky's daughter.
Oh, what did you get from it?
Yeah, wasn't that
thought-
Julia?
Wasn't that Julia?
Yeah, wasn't that the aunt character when she was younger?
You fool!
Already in the bath, but the girl who's right at the end is someone else.
I took that to be well, I can't remember who's the lady with the burnt face.
Oh right, yeah. So I can't remember her name, but yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be like the illegitimate child that
Yeah.
they're gonna have. I was just like, damn, like, that's what I was kind of thinking. It's sort of I thought this kind of it came out of sort of like a feeling of jealousy. So the aunt comes back into the story, and Vicky feels like she's about to get displaced, and then that's where all this sort of comes from. So then I was kind of thinking, like, if what's the bloke's name? What's
Jimmy?
Jimmy? I thought that Jimmy fucking burnt face lady. I thought he was going to have an illegitimate child, and then she's got the thing as well, and so like that she's then jealous of Vicky and her dad because they're about to get like a lot closer, and she's possibly about to get like maligned slightly because she's, you know, not like the legitimate kid. And I was like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like the spirit of jealousy. But
that's very interesting.
That's cool, like that.
Yeah.
Who
That's
did
very
you?
interesting. Oh, sorry, Emmanuel, you cut out there.
Who did you think it was?
So I took it as being Vicky's future daughter, and I took her going back and seeing Vicky with her dad as her going through a similar thing to Vicky's been through the whole way through. So basically, the way I interpreted it is that it's not completely literal, and so like the whole thing with like Vicky creating smells and like being transported back in time or whatever. I didn't take that as that being what was actually happening. I took it as Vicky inferring what had happened between her mum and her aunt, and sort of, you know, sort of like it being a visual representation of what Vicky sees as being their past, whether it is their past or not, which you assume it is quite close to what actually happened. The reason I took it that way is because, you know, the bit where Julia goes back to the lake and she's thinking back to her and her mum, and like that whole, it's the bit with the total eclipse of the heart where it's like the synth bit from that. When I first watched it, so that bit happened, and that was when it all clicked to me. I was like, oh, so she has the same power as Vicky. And then I was like, oh no, wait, the power is remembering. Like it's not a literal thing, it's not time travel. She's just remembering what happened in the same way that Vicky is inferring the past. And then I thought, if that's the case, then that means that everything that Vicky's inferring between her mum and her aunt, and everything that she's going through with her dad, that's the stuff that's making Vicky who she is. And then that person at the end, I thought could be Vicky's future daughter. And if it is Vicky's future daughter, then it's another generation of somebody who's becoming who they are because of the things that have happened here.
Oh, that's it.
It could be her daughter, or it could be the other dad's kid in the future. It could be either. I think either is possible.
Mm.
If it was Vicky's daughter, it would be very much like Time Traveler's Wife. Even
I don't know.
and that's why it can't be that.
5 out of 10.
it feels. I know you said it's not time travel, but it feels like almost like not necessarily proper time travel, but it almost feels like when you get in some kind of medias or whatever, like spirit walking almost.
Mm.
The mother first sees her, she actually sees her, and she's like, "Oh crap!" But it makes it creepier because every time she sees her, she's a very quiet girl, so she never speaks. So it seems even creepier. So it's like, why is this little girl, keeps showing up and won't say anything and just watching me and staring at me? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
But that's something that I think is so like cool, because either interpretation works because of how they've done it. Because either it's Vicky going back, her aunt's seeing her, and then that's causing all of her issues, and then that causes the fire at the end, or it's Vicky inferring what happened between them, and then that bit at the end where she's in the tree and then Julia sets fire to the tree, that's her blaming herself for her mum and her aunt not being able to be together anymore. I think it's really cool that you can interpret it both ways and it doesn't break.
I never thought of it that way, but now that you said it out loud, it made me understand. Because I always thought it had to be time travel. Why would she burn down the tree? Oh, it's like you saying it out loud made me go, "Oh shit!" That actually makes a lot more sense than it just being her like walking into like the past and her having like fucking Hodor line, like fucking, like being that sort of like circular fucking time travel bullshit. And I was like, oh, this makes lots more sense.
I think it's the thing. Like it works. Like it doesn't have to be her specifically that Julia's seeing. Like for it to function, it's just because she's experiencing it that it happens to be her doing it, and it's just I think that's actually quite neat.
Mm.
Yeah, I was I was quite impressed with this one, considering like the Wikipedia description does it no favors. I was reading and going like,
I tried to wiki it and it didn't give me an explanation to the plot at all, and it's fucking annoying.
It's one of those ones where you read it and go like, I mean, kinda, but like it's not quite there.
I think that's the thing, because like that was another reason that sort of pushed me towards picking this one, is that so many people, like so many critics, just completely ripped it apart, and I think it's because they didn't get what was going on.
I need to read this fucking review. Hang on a sec.
Like it's so frustrating to like read through so many that were like, oh yeah, this is trying to be M. Night Shyamalan, and like, oh, this is just too complicated, and it's like, it's not. You just have to think a little bit.
There you go. Jordan Mintzer of the Mintzer is in MINTZER. Jordan Mintzer of the Hollywood Reporter assessed the film as having too many elements, criticizing screenwriters Maesius and Gilham for infusing an otherwise compelling and intimate tragedy with elements of witchcraft, the supernatural, and time travel that feel like they belong in another film, whether it's by Shyamalan or Robert Eggers or something from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
People always go back into that Marvel Cinematic Universe bullshit, and I fucking hate it now. Not everything is fucking Marvel and Disney.
Rather than enhancing the intrigue, the genre components wind up diluting it, and when the two sides of the movie ultimately come together, the impact was blunted. You did a bad review, PT.
Look, I mean, to be honest, like the film is really just this, like, it's called The Five Devils, so I feel like there's only like three main points. It's the point of like the weird relationship with Julia, Jimmy, and Joanna, and like the thing about the race, or the whole thing about race, and like the weird time travel bits, quotation marks, because I guess it's not really time travel now. I feel like those are the three main points that drive the story forward, and like I see how they kind of connect with each other, and how it's how like there's the points that they were trying to make the plot progress. And I guess it's the one thing. Okay, the one thing I did read on the wiki. It's about how Vicky, I keep forgetting the daughter's name. Vicky was capturing smells, and
sorry,
someone's watching sports,
and Vicky was capturing the smells of Julia, which was like alcohol and like really weird stuff. And actually, Rob, did you watch this beforehand, Rob?
Before I picked it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in the cinema back in like March.
I feel like this would have been a good sort of like double bill with like the movie what's called Perfume, because of the weird people having the weird thing about scents and stuff. I was like, okay, that's kind.
Don't bring up Perfume. My parents want me to watch that.
Oh, really?
They tell me it's dreadful. Anyway.
It's not great. But like but essentially it has to talk about like capturing smells, and I was thinking, is it sort of like the same thing with Perfume, where it catches someone's like quote unquote essence, and it's a bit witchcrafty because of like her like boiling the crow and all that other nonsense. I was like, all right, because of like the weird like special superpowers or magical powers that they may have.
That's a line that couldn't have worked in English, when Joanne's like, she's burning crows now.
but it's all that stuff. It's all the weird magical or seemingly cultish stuff that I thought, right, it's kind of like I see where they're going for. But if what you're saying is that it isn't actually magical, and this is just an interpretation through a child's, just say, imagination, then I see where the thought process changes. And that's interesting, because I didn't see it like that. I saw it as it's all magical. It's all like something's weird's going on with this family, and it's like it's explained through like the flashbacks. And that's how I saw it. But like seeing it like that, it's like, but if it's just like talking about generational trauma instead, and it's just a thing about it, I was like, I guess it actually makes a little bit more sense than I expected. Though, if it isn't magical, there is one question that does put a plot point at it, which makes a plot point a problem. It's where she gets picked on by the other kids, and they all faint. So if it's not magical, there has to be a reason why they all faint, and for the thing of it, I can't think of what the reason could be. And I'm like, that's gave me a state that's like stuck a bit, and I don't know.
So I can't remember exactly what it was, but ages ago I watched this interview with the director, and I can't find it now. But she was talking about how it's something to do with like how dogs smell when they're puppies. So when dogs are puppies, obviously like a dog's sense of smell is like so much more intense than ours is. And when they're puppies, they apparently get quite overwhelmed by it, because they go around smelling all these things, and they don't know if a smell's just happened, or if it's happened a week ago, or if it's happened a month ago, and that kind of thing. So they can't tell if there's like danger around because a predator was in their space like ages ago, or if it's in their space now, and like that kind of thing. And basically, as dogs get older, they learn to manage that by like almost smelling chronologically. So like they can sort of go like, okay, that's from last week, this is what's happening now, and that kind of thing. And I think that scene is a reference to that kind of thing. So like they're all kids, and their senses are a lot more like heightened than ours are as adults. So when Vicky brings this really strong smell to them, they all experience the same thing, where they kind of like it's so strong that it overwhelms them to the point of them all passing out. So I think what that scene is trying to say is that this isn't something that's special to Vicky. We can all do it, but we don't all learn to, kind of thing.
guess. Okay, I guess the only thing then now is what could have been that smell that made like 5 kids faint. I can't imagine it.
It was Pat.
You said it fucking 1 second faster than I did. Fuck.
Well, when Rob was when I was talking to Rob during my second watching of it, it was like how is she considered a smart girl when she keeps knocking herself out of chloroform? She happened like 3 or 4 times.
This is kind of like industrial level, like super glue or some shit. Like that she just like puts into her. Yeah, I mean, oh no, it could be like chlorine because she works with her mum in that swimming pool. Maybe she just has lots of fucking chlorine, and she's just like smelling like fumes and just like it's just chlorine. That's it. That's what
she's just poisoning herself every time.
Well, I mean, she's poisoning herself and all the kids that were picking on her. So when they opened up the bottle of like that jar of chlorine, they all fainted. So that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. 100%. It could actually just be her memories or her interpretation of memories. Yeah. That makes sense.
What I would say, and I'm not saying it has to be this, but it felt like they were inferring it when they asked shortly before she first smelled the mysterious liquid in a nondescript box and bottle.
What a description!
Very sinister. You should do Cluedo.
Very much. Like they Joanne, I think, asked Julie, what's she doing these days? Or Jimmy did. Anyway, asked her, and she said, "Oh, I'm working in like nanotechnology at the moment." And immediately, I had thought, is this in like it's either something that she gets high on, she has some addiction or problems? Is it something from her work? Is it chloroform? I couldn't think of the word. I was just like, what is this that just sends this girl into like knocks her out and sends her in the past? Because I know like it might not be time travel, but it also kind of reminds me a lot of like Dreamwalkers. A lot of, if you like see a lot of stories like that, they kind of bring things in to induce a dream-like state, a trance-like state. And if this is something, whatever it is, chloroform, whatever it is, if it's inducing a trance-like state or basically out, then that might also explain that when she did the thing under her bed, she literally dream walked into her dream, seeing her while she was thinking of herself as a young girl. And then unless she actually went into the past at that point, or a past kind of whatever time, and it's like a fresh memory, and she's remembering that. At the end of the day, whatever happened is kind of cool. But yeah, that was what I was thinking.
Yeah, see, this is what I think is so cool about this, because it's like there's so many different ways that you can like pick up on all of this stuff, and I imagine we haven't, like, none of us have seen it completely in the same way as any others, but it's still just like it's sort of open to the point where you can do that, but it's together enough that nothing kind of like rings weird, I don't think. How did you take it, Ben?
It's good.
Oh,
no, it really surprised me how like subtly clever it was, because it's kind of like the themes I really loved about it was something that every one of us can relate to, that everyone has this, like, in their childhood, you remember these certain smells, and when you smell a certain thing, it takes you back immediately to where you first smelled it, and the feelings and the memories that evoke in your head about what that thing was. And so
Yeah,
that
like when I used to smell poo and I used to panic.
Wait, what?
when the same room as her. There we go. But that's so like, it's so transportive, isn't it? And it's kind of like but I'm surprised the film hasn't done anything like this before, because it's quite fresh and unique in that respect, because that's something that hasn't been touched on much. And I like how they worked this into the plot. Like, they could have just done the easy approach of just throwing flashbacks in randomly. But this was a really clever and thought out way of doing these flashbacks, showing you these past events that had so much impact of what was happening on the present day. So I did appreciate how they did that. And the little girl in it, I forget her name, but she's like the thing that holds it all together, because you can relate to her immediately in the first 5 minutes. You kind of like, you're already invested in her well-being, and you already like endeared with her plight and who she is, and you just hate these goddamn bullies that she goes through, because everyone that goes up will encounter a bully of some form, and you hate them just as much as you did when you were experiencing it in real life.
My favourite bit was when she said, "I'm tired of these motherfucking bullies." This motherfucking
yeah, it's like it's something we all can like relate to, and I feel that's a very important thing. Like throughout the film, it's like you constantly you're not really sure about this family, and you want to know more, and you want to be invested. You're invested to figure out what the deal is, and what's with her mother and father, and what was the relationship with the aunt. So it does a great job of like making it compelling. And production, great. It does. There's a really like. Usually, when you have a film like this, they have to start off with this ambiguous like flash forward, like this did with like the burning down gym or whatever it was. Sometimes they're not satisfying, but I think this one really was. I think you kind of like, you're working up to this. You're like, what's all this about? Because you think it's going to start off with this very horrific kind of like supernatural element to it, because Five Devils, it's going to be like The Sorcerer. You think it's going to be like some sort of fantasy horror film, but it's not that at all. But the way it starts, makes you think there's something to do with that. You think it's going to be like The Omen, but it's not. It's still satisfying in that regard, because you can understand how it gets to that point. So it just makes you think, and it just makes you like, oh, this is the reason for the scarring of that girl. This is the reason for why this relationship fell apart, and all. There's so much in that, and the more you think about it, you like expel all this wonderful emotion.
I wasn't one for
Nice
that.
one.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something else I wanted to bring up. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember what it was, but I'll bring it up later if I remember. But
What was it? Did you notice like it was actually very, very critical of the French, because they were meant basically throughout the film. Throughout the film, nobody says please or thank you, like pretty much throughout. But the day where they realise the main character realises something's horribly wrong with the aunt. She realises it because she's found a post-it note that says thank you on it, and she's gone, shit, she's going to kill herself. And that's a big indicator, just like, shit, she's used some manners. Something's wrong. And she goes, she calls someone, what the hell.
Yeah,
like, I love it.
I mean, like, you're not wrong, right? Because like that's because like, without making it very dramatic, it's like, you know, like, oh man, this is gonna sound really dark, but you know, you have like people who have like really who leave notes, or always say something like, I love you, or you know, remember me. So her one was, because they're so very unpolite, their level of that is thank you. And they're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that makes sense.
something's not
Unfortunately,
right.
that makes perfect sense.
it's actually my biggest pet peeve in a film. I've just realised this from because of this film. Actually, it really fucking bothers me when people don't say please and thank you in a film. And it bothered me in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it bothered me in this. I was just like, fucking say s'il vous plaît or merci or whatever. Like just do it. But nobody does until like the last day when everything.
To be fair, that is a good point, but because I've noticed that in a lot of American films as well, where you never ever see anyone say hello or goodbye and when they pick up a phone call. Every time they just like hang up in dramatic effect. They never say, sorry, I'll speak to you later, or goodbye, I'll talk to you tomorrow. They always just like hang up. Or it's never like a polite.
Vicky walks in and Joanne goes, oh, le chocolat shop? And she goes, oui. And I'm like, oui, s'il vous plaît, bitch. Like, what's going on?
So the one that used to annoy my dad was like when you see somebody dial a number on a phone and then like instantly talk. Like every single time that happened in anything, he'd be like, "There's no one there yet."
There's so many things like that.
It's just my own personal. You see the apostrophe in the CDs. You see a sign of this. It's CDs and DVDs, and both words have an apostrophe in it, and you're like, "Fuck you."
CD's nuts.
God damn it.
Oh man.
Off topic.
Yeah, I think like on that though, like just like you reminded me of one of the bits that I really like with the dad, because it's like when Vicky asks why Julia has an accent and he doesn't, and he says about how like he was a lot older when he came over from Senegal and she was really young when she came over.
I thought you were going to say you were saying about how his life got flipped turned upside down.
But yeah, no, I really like that because it's such a small bit, but it kind of explains why like he's so sort of like nonchalant about Julia coming round and like why he doesn't quite get the relationship between Julia and Joanne, because it's like he doesn't really understand sexuality in the way that they do because they've grown up in France, because he's like come from this super religious country that sort of like frowns on it still and that kind of thing. Like he hasn't grown up in an environment to understand it in the way that they have, and I don't think he really does understand it until he sees them together towards the end and he lets Joanne go off in the ambulance. I think that's so great.
And is such a Chad through. He is like pretty much flat-footed. Where he's on the back foot most of the time, and then just at the end when he's going like, no, you go in the end. You don't even fully get it necessarily, but you're still letting the girls. So that's.
I mean, he does break like obviously start breaking down in front of his child when he realizes, of course, that his marriage is over. Like he's been trying for who knows how long. We don't know how long this like the kind of depression and dissatisfaction from Joanne has been going on. And it seems like he's been trying to be there for her and encourage her, but she's just like giving up on their marriage. And she won't talk to him about how she's feeling or what she's going through, which is a frustrating thing, but a lot of people do that. And this is obviously the nail, and he's just like, well, I guess it's obvious that it's over. It's done.
But you can still be the bigger bloke. You can still be the bigger bloke.
Oh,
I think that's what I'd like. So I really liked his character anyway because like I was doing my usual thing on the first watch where I went like, is it convenient that he's a emergency services bloke? I'm not sure I remember that being mentioned an awful lot. And on the second one I went, oh, actually, yeah, that's just a lot of visual information that I just didn't pick up the next time again. But then I was like, why is he a fireman Why is he a fireman? I'm like, oh, why could he be a fireman? And it's like, oh, he's a fireman because his sister got like basically just ruined everything through like accidental arson, and like it's actually like affected his family like enormously actually. So being a fireman and learning how to like deal with that like a lot quicker and recognize the signs and stuff like that, was just like, oh yeah, there you go, that's why he's a fucking fireman. I was like, what a guy. Like he's just taken all that on, and he's just let that all you know, like even like the bit where Joanne's just having the biggest go at him, and she's just screaming in his face, and he's like, "What?" She's just like, "Yeah," and she's just like, "You're even boring when you're angry," and he's like, "Oh, well, in that case, get out of this room." And she's like, "No, I didn't mean it." And he's like, "I don't care, get out of this room." And he's just completely composed like throughout, and it's just kind of like, damn, like you've got there. He's fucking mad. Like, and it's like this. I don't know. I think that character is pretty great. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because like he's such like. I think like one thing that I was thinking when I first watched it is like, what was the like, how did it all change? So like, how did it go from being like Julia and Joanne to being Joanne and is his name Jimmy?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, how did it go from being Julia to Jimmy kind of thing? And then when you sort of like retrace your steps, and like there's the whole thing about like, you know, there's like a sort of like a little compilation of photos on their wall, and it says 10 years of happiness and all of that kind of stuff. And it's like, so there obviously was like a happy period, but I was trying to work out like why it changed, because it does seem like quite, because you know the bit where she's like, oh, are you mad that I had a child with your brother? Like you do kind of take it as been like, what has gone on here for them to all be sort of fine with it? And then I was thinking perhaps it's because like he's got such a strong sort of like protector drive, and like maybe that's why he became a fireman, and maybe that's why him and Joanne sort of like bonded when Julia went away, and sort of like after she'd committed the arson and that kind of thing, like maybe they were drawn together because he felt a need to protect her because she meant so much to his sister, even though he didn't understand their relationship and all that kind of stuff.
That's actually quite cool, because I assumed it was like initiated by her, and she was just trying to she missed Julia, and she was trying to thing kind of, but and like wound with him. But yeah, he might have even like initiated it all, and it's like. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you kind of got you don't need it spelled out, but you kind of because I think it was the Christmas card when they show the Christmas card, and I was like, "Fucking smile, bitch!" Like, what is up with you? Like, fucking, it's a picture, just fake it, like whatever. But like, she just looks miserable throughout, and it's like, what's wrong with you? And it's like, oh, she was in love, and now she's in a relationship with, well, she's fucking married to the brother of the person she was in love with. But like, there's no getting her back really, and there's no return to normalcy. But she has the child and everything. But it's like, it doesn't stop the fact that she's in this marriage she's unhappy with, and no amount of having a child is gonna fix. And it's like, that's why she's miserable. And there's no, you can't actually like fix that easily.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's all making complete sense. She does still, she is still a miserable cow the whole thing, but you know, you have all the reasoning for that, and it's like, yeah, no, fair enough, I'll be miserable too, to be fair. Like,
and I think that's actually a really good credit to her as an actor, because she's essentially playing two different characters. Because like in the in sort of like the present day scenes where she's with Jimmy, she's a completely different person to the person who she is in the flashbacks when she's with Julia.
Definitely.
Like she actually feels younger. Like that's how well acted it is.
I was really impressed with, like, I don't know how they were de-aging them, other than I don't know if it was just like really clever makeup and stuff. But
yeah,
like,
I don't think there's any CGI. Like I think it is literally just really well acted.
or like just simple things like, oh, let's put hoop earrings in. But like, yeah, they both looked like tangibly younger. I found it a little bit weird that Jimmy didn't get the same. Jimmy looked the same age like throughout, but I was like, why have you de-aged everyone else?
That's the thing though, because like I think it's literally just like, well, it's really good acting, and it's also like fashion and stuff in it, because like they're at a point where they're dressing in different ways, and like I think that's enough for them to like look and feel younger because the acting is so good. But I suppose like it's interesting that Jimmy does look the same all the way through, because Jimmy doesn't really change. Like Jimmy's drives and motivations are always the same, whereas theirs aren't.
That's fair.
That's a fair point.
And I just said that.
Rob said it well.
I really like Joanne's dad as a character as well, as that kind of like.
I wish he was more in it. He looks like really a strange little goblin man, and I think he needs to be.
I think he's such a cool character, because he's not like he's basically like a voice of reason that doesn't have any reason.
Voice of reason coming from the worst parent ever.
Yeah, like he's talking in like a really like authoritative tone, and like he's telling Joanne what to do to fix her life, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's like, I think there's part of Joanne that knows that, but it's sort of.
I think he's so direct that like he doesn't have any understanding of the situation, but it is something that go like, well, yeah, just dress a bit sexier and go for it. Like, come on, like you're being an idiot, and it's like that would be a solution, I suppose. But, like...
And I think that's the thing, like that's another bit where you can infer how all this happened, because it's like, if Joanne's dad is talking to her in this way, and like you know that he doesn't approve of the relationship between her and Julia, you can absolutely see how like the two things together would have put Joanne in quite a miserable situation in later life. Like if Jimmy's going, this awful thing has happened because of my sister, and I now need to protect this person, and then her dad's also going, well, that wasn't a legitimate relationship anyway, and this person's throwing himself at you, so just go for it with him, kind of thing. Like it's, yeah, you can see how it all went wrong.
Patrick, we've not heard a lot from you. You went through quite a journey with this one.
Yeah.
Excellent. Simon?
I mean, I think mainly because I got confused about the storyline and the time travel. I tried to continue a conversation, just couldn't help it. But seriously, Pat, did you have any opinions on this film? Because you did have your opinion, your scores changed as well quite considerably.
So my first viewing, I thought it was style over substance kind of thing. Purely because I didn't really get where they were going with it, and then Rob eventually, after me saying I was going to read some reviews to find out something of what might actually help me watch it, sort of explained what he saw. So I basically watched it from the little girl's eyes, and I got a lot more from it. So it was a decent film in the end. Like, second viewing was, I was more engaged with it the second time. First time I was really bored. But just listening to what you guys are saying, like, I don't think I ever watched films that deep, like to get that much out of it. Like you were going way below the surface. So it's just intriguing listening to sort of what you guys saw from it. But like I got none of that, because I'm very much much more on the surface kind of viewer.
I think that,
and that's probably why this film isn't for someone like me.
Well, this is the thing though. When in the week when you said it was style over substance, I was like, no, you can't be saying that.
The thing is, when you went off, right, you reminded me of Alec, but without the excessive aggressiveness.
Did you say explicit aggressiveness?
Excessive aggressiveness.
Oh, excessive.
Just say excessiveness.
I was like, oh fucking hell, am I gonna have to abandon the call because I pissed him off?
I wasn't pissed off. I was just like, if you think it's style over substance, then you must have missed a lot. But it's that thing. Like the thing was as well. Is like, so this is another thing that I wanted to talk about. So this premiered at Cannes, and after it premiered at Cannes, there was so many reviews of people saying like the things that we were saying earlier about how like it was too complicated and it didn't make sense and all of this kind of stuff.
That's what I saw from it.
Well, that's the thing. I think those reviews are the reason why it bombed so much. Because the budget was only like €3 million or something like that. Like it wasn't a massive budget, and it only made 500,000 back. And I think a lot of it is because so many people trashed it at Cannes, and I think the reason that they trashed it was because they didn't understand it. So it was like, well, I don't know. It's really disappointing when that happens because it's like, well, your job as a film critic is to try and like find out what the value in it is. Like it's just. Yeah.
I mean, I'll still say it's quite an artsy film.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like disagree with that.
I think that's probably another reason why I didn't get on with it at first.
What'd you say, Pat?
I still find it to be quite an artsy film.
Oh.
So it was difficult for me to sort of engage with it the first time. Especially like I had no clue what was going on. I'm like, okay, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Both viewings, I'm like, why is she sniffing chloroform constantly? But I think the bullet points that you gave me, I think, were a big help. I still think Jimmy was quite unlikable, and I feel like their marriage or relationship was more of a convenience.
Jimmy was unlikable.
Yeah, I didn't like him as a character.
No, the marriage as a convenience, I agree with. Jimmy is a very good person. He's like the best person. He's
yeah, like, but I maybe unlikable is the wrong word. I didn't engage with him that much.
Okay, that's different then. Not engaging with the character and saying he's unlikable is a bit different.
So they both seem very unhappy with their relationship, as you can tell when he decided to get back with the burn victim. I can't remember her name.
What a delivery.
And like she's still in love with the what was it that she was called?
Pyromaniac?
The Pyromaniac Diet
Julia.
What was it
oh my goodness.
What was it that the dad called her?
Did you just call her the Pyromaniac Dyke Woman?
No, I'm trying to remember what the dad called her.
Oh, didn't he call? Oh right, yeah, he called her something really offensive. It's something like. Yeah, like, oh yeah, you mean that arsonist lesbo or some shit, right? I think
something
that's
like that anyway.
What you're remembering, Pat, is what the kid called her. The kid is the one who said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dad didn't call her that.
Oh man. But there's much more closeness, even when oh fuck, I can't remember her name now. But when she kept saying to Jimmy, "I want her gone," that was because there was far too much temptation having her in the house. But generally, that's what I got from it. Like, it was quite an unhappy household, but a happy kid that likes going around smelling odd things.
I mean, I wouldn't say she was completely happy, but
I think in the circumstances, considering how much she was bullied and all, I think she was a relatively happy child.
Oh.
The flashbacks sort of threw me off at first as well, especially like you had her in the swimming pool place, and then all of a sudden she's back to being a gymnast. I'm like, I really don't know where to stage these events in my head, but like obviously when Rob sort of pointed out certain things, I was like, oh, that makes more sense. So but that was one of the main reasons why I basically gave them mid scores. So like my scores weren't final for story and a couple of other categories because I wanted to hear what you guys thought before I rescored it. And I hate that the fact that this film made me watch the same film twice in the same week.
But you see the value in it because your scores changed quite a lot.
No, I saw the value in it after Rob explained it to me.
I mean, you see the value in watching things twice because your opinion can change quite drastically.
That it wasn't because I watched it twice. It was because I had the plot points explained. Okay. So say if I watched it twice without Rob saying a word, I would have got the same out of both viewings.
Oh, I thought it because you did watch it again. It helped.
So Rob explains the areas that he felt that I was probably getting lost in.
This is propaganda, Pat.
And I rewatched it.
Brainwashed you, basically.
I wouldn't say brainwashed. He sort of outlined what I was probably missing.
I wouldn't say brainwashed. I'd say recalibrated.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Pat.
The Christian gets what you're
saying.
Oh yeah.
How do I sound?
Sound fine.
Yeah, you sound fine.
You still sound fine. You ask this every week, but you still sound lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Okay, thanks. I don't know how my end sounds because obviously I cut off and some things happen. And I'm just like, I've changed some settings. Is that better?
My end sounds bombastic.
The only time that you cut out, Emmanuel, is if like somebody talks at the same time. It's like your mic like prioritizes the other person. Like try talking while I'm talking, and we can see if it's happening.
I'm trying to talk
if
while
you,
you're talking.
It's fine now. Yeah, yeah, it's fine now, man. I think it's maybe because like maybe the volume was low before or something.
Maybe. I wonder if it's as well if I'm on a mobile. Does it like prioritize computers? I don't
know, man. It seems fine now.
Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
What was I
saying? You were saying how Rob recalibrated you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like if Rob had just been like, watch it again, you'll see a difference. I'd be like, I probably wouldn't have seen that much more. Like, I think he added a bit of depth to my viewing that I probably wouldn't have seen. It makes my viewing style seem quite dim-witted, but that's really how I felt during the film. I was like, I really don't understand what he's saying from this film. The only thing I saw from this film is the lead woman was really hot, and I enjoyed watching her at least.
There's a lot of very well paid film critics who got the same out of it as what you did, Pat.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of well paid film critics that are dim-witted anyway.
What I don't get is, and I'm sure, I hope like you guys can shed some light on this, but I don't get someone who is a critic who's meant to have seen many things. Like, how do you not get this film? It wasn't like it wasn't really strange and really out there like Antichrist. It wasn't kind of cryptic under the scenes, kind of like Sorcerer, and it has to be explained to you. Like, cause like if you don't realize what the Sorcerer thing is all about, it's a pretty fine film, but you will miss completely what other stuff he was putting in there. But
I think it's just people taking it taking it as literally as possible, and it's sort of like you know, everyone, you have this whole thing of kind of like just disparity between a family. Everyone gets that. Then it's like the mum's like a she was a lesbian with she was in Lesbians with the aunt, and
or bisexual, I guess now.
Okay.
And now it's like everyone gets that. Basically, everyone gets everything about this until you go, this is all facilitated by a little girl smelling something. As soon as you bring that element into it, everyone goes, what the fuck? I don't know. This is nonsense. I can't see it.
What I find strange about it is, I'm not talking about a main cinema goer viewer, because from a mainstream watcher, I'm not talking about you, Pat, specifically. I'm talking about the average, not like cinema lover goer.
We're not talking about you, Pat. We're talking about the average.
Like, Pat's not the average. So, but anyway,
oh my goodness.
Like, I would get, I would get that kind of thing, because there's a lot of things you can't put in the mainstream, because people are just going to be like, what is this? This is not entertaining. This is not fun. What's going on here? And a lot of people will walk out and kind of ask for a refund. And it happens all the time with films like that. But with critics and all this kind of stuff, to me, honestly, I was seeing like a different take, and I'm not trying to cuss this film at all. But for me, it's like a different take on the concept of the time traveler's wife. A very different concept, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, if you look at it from this view, what happened first? Was it Julia who was seeing a little girl and she's placed herself in her memories like this? Or is it the little girl traveling back that's caused what was inevitable? So maybe Julia leaving Joanne was inevitable, but the daughter getting involved made it more disastrous. Like, who knows? But the fact is, to me, it wasn't that like hard to understand or complicated in terms of like it wasn't like some really weird film that just throws a ton of stuff at you and it's just like, oh, just figure it out. It was presented and you're like, okay, cool, this is happening. Okay, cool, this is happening. And I feel like any critic who's seen a whole bunch of all over the place stuff and they can't get this, are you okay? Why are you a critic? I don't understand.
There's a lot of film critics that shouldn't be film critics.
That felt personal.
I mean, it's true. It is true. Like, I don't pretend to be a film critic. I just turn up at a film and just try and enjoy it for what it is. These guys are paid to do this job, and there's a lot of them that are very bad at it. And this comes to all medium as well, because game critics are fucking terrible.
I think part of it with this is because it is at Cannes, and like there's a like there was a whole thing about like when this screened at Cannes, it got like a 6-minute standing ovation or something like that, and then everyone went away and wrote a shit review of it. And it was like well, it doesn't make sense that the two went hand in hand kind of thing. But I think there is something to be said about film festivals and like whether they're the right environment to watch a film in, because I noticed this in myself when I was at London Film Festival this year. I think when you're at a film festival and you've got the pressure to like be writing about films that you see there, like there's a couple of things that go with it, because you're subconsciously looking for like either something that you can like sort of like you can just sort of like talk about how much you love it and how it's the next big thing and like all of that kind of stuff, or you're looking for something to shit on because like the worst thing that you can do in that situation is go and watch a film for 2 hours and then come out and go, yeah, it was fine. Because it's like, at that point, it's a waste of 2 hours if you've got nothing to say about it. So I think film festivals do turn critics into like quite unreasonable people, because there's that pressure of having to write something interesting about everything.
Did the same thing happen?
Oh, you cut out.
Give him a round of applause and then. Fuck's sake. Hold on. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you remember when Indiana Jones premiered at a festival? I can't remember which one it was, and it got a round of applause. And then
I think that was Cannes as well.
And then literally, well, most of the critics shat on it.
Yeah. I think it does happen, because I think it is that sort of pressure of like, I think in the moment as well, you get a bit swept up in it, and like there's so many films that like you see at festivals and you come out going, oh, that was amazing, and then as soon as you think about it for 2 minutes, it's like, oh, it probably wasn't actually. I think you do get caught like, sort of like carried away by the atmosphere of it all. So I can see how it goes wrong to an extent, but I think for this film in particular, I think it's a shame that it got the criticism that it got, because I think a lot of it is painting it in quite an unfair light.
I think that's the thing though, because it's sort of like the most discouraged I felt about this film was when I read the synopsis of it, and I will just read out the synopsis. I feel like it's worth just pointing out how bad this. But yeah, I think you do have a point with like critics feel the need to sort of, if you go, I actually didn't understand that. It's like, I don't know, you kind of just going like, it's sort of like just the inviting like, oh, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. There's no shame in saying you didn't understand something. You just didn't. But anyway, here's the Wikipedia description, which was what made me go, "Oh, I think this might be a bit of a Close Encounters situation." Vicky has a magical gift. She can smell and reproduce any scent of her choosing. She collects these in carefully labeled jars. The solitary child has a very strong bond with her mother, Joanne, whose scent she also captures. When her father's sister, Julia, who has recently been released from prison, enters their lives, Vicky also begins to reproduce her scent. Vicky is transported back in time into dark and magical memories, leading her to discover the past love affair between her mother and Julia, the secrets of her village, and her own existence.
Yeah, I think I
does that not sound like shit? Like,
yeah, it was so confusing reading that.
Well, it's a good thing Rob gave me his input from it rather than me reading it from Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's true.
I think in Film Club going forward, we need to like ban synopsis because they never seem to help.
Well, no, it really depends on which film you watch, because like I watched The Skin I Live in first. Oh, sorry, go on, go on.
This is the take that you have if you just read that synopsis and you go, oh yeah, that sounds like nonsense. And it's like I'll sit in the booth and I'll watch it, but the review's going to be nonsense because it's just based on the synopsis, and it's like, yeah, the synopsis sounds like nonsense, but like, you do that with Duel.
Yeah, sentient trucks.
So you see about sentient trucks and you go, that sounds stupid, and it's like, cool, it's not actually about sentient trucks.
Until Ben calls it a bitch.
Ben calls it a
slut.
Slut, yeah, slut. Yeah.
It changes everything, doesn't it?
But yeah, and it's sort of like you don't know what you're. I don't know. I feel like a lot of film critics kind of like just read the synopsis possibly and then base it off that, and it's like, why don't you actually just try and figure it out yourself? You know what? If you don't understand it, just say you don't understand it. It's okay. Just go like, I didn't get it. Sorry. People can understand.
I think that's like another. It's a bit of a shame with like how things are at the moment, because it's like 9 times out of 10 you'll pitch a review to somebody and like they'll commission you for it before you've seen the film. And it's a shame that you can't sort of do it the other way around because you haven't got the time to, basically, or rather there's too much competition to be able to do it. Because I think that's the thing. Like, it'd be nice if you could sort of be able to watch something and then come out of it and then consider whether you're the right person to write the review or not. But it's not. Yeah, it's not really how it works, unfortunately.
Sorry, Simon. I kept talking. I was in a fit of talky.
No, I was just saying it's what you're saying is right, because like just reading the wiki, I did read the wiki as well just to go, did I miss something? I was like, maybe I got confused. I read it. I was like, no, I guess that's kind of what I got out of it, but I feel like there was more. It's different when you have like someone like Rob explaining to Pat like more like someone for more like chronological, like in-depth like description of the film. It happened with me for The Skin I Lived In, where I knew about the film without realizing where it was. When someone did like a video essay about it going in chronological order, I was like, oh, this is an interesting film. I forgot about it until we watched it again. I was like, oh shit, it's this film. I'm really interested in it. So maybe if someone did a chronological like video explaining the details of the Five Devils, then we'd be like, right, so the devil was the person inside of us. That's it. Then
the devil was the friends we made along the way.
Everyone, yeah, right. But it's if that happened, I feel like people will be like, that's what the point of this story was, right? But unfortunately, because this only came out last year. Wait, no, you said it came out 2022, didn't it?
Yeah, so it's technically 22, but
this is your last year pick, right? Yeah. But so if someone did like a more in-depth analysis of the film, I feel like a lot more people would get it a bit more, like explaining it as like it's not actually magical, it's just inside our head. Then afterwards, like, oh, yeah, you kind of get like the generational trauma thing. If someone explained it a little bit more, I feel like it would have been more critically accepted. But like, you know how people are sometimes, the general audience and the critics, and afterwards, obviously, as you say, critics can't go, yeah, it's good. Ben, it's not always it's good. You have to explain more. I can't help. You can't be helped.
I think the thing is you can.
Sorry.
But the thing is you can do a review that is pretty like it was a middling film and explain all the ways in an eloquent and well written way what they did well, what they didn't do well. You think what they could have improved on, or things that kind of nagged you. Like, you don't just have to pick an extreme. Like, you can't be in the middle. Just write it well. That's the whole point. It's journalism.
I think it's worth noting. I do want to say, sorry, it was just how Simon was phrasing something. It's not to say that it's not completely literal. It's just, like that's just like the interpretation. But the point is, it does work either way. So whether it's Vicky goes literally back in time, and she was the cause of, this was something that I wanted to touch on actually, because I was trying to synopsize it for the people at work because they were going like, "What's it about?" And I was like, "Okay, don't mention." When I wanted to synopsize this, the last thing I wanted to mention was the fucking smell mechanic. Like, that's possibly the least important part of the film to me. Like, if you watched this film and you came away going, that smell mechanic was stupid, like, you kind of missed the point. I don't know, but the last thing I'd want to mention is the smell mechanic, and because obviously it's hard to articulate. But what I said was there is like internal conflict between a wife, a husband, and an aunt, and the daughter goes back in time to like just kind of see what happened, and it turns out that she was kind of the cause of it. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And it's like, yeah, that is interesting. you don't actually if you just fixate on the smell mechanic, it's like, yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's not like that important. It's kind of how we're moving around. But at the end of the day, it works if it's Vicky's like a very special person with an overdeveloped sense of smell. You can associate memories with smell. If you smell someone, if you smell something that's very powerfully associated with somebody, and you start picking up their memories, it's it sounds very outlandish, but if that's what she can do, that's what she can do, and it's like that's what the story's about, and she's using it to explore this wider relationship that's saying a lot of things, and it's like, okay, if it's just she's kind of just triggering memories that aren't hers, and it's like it's not completely literal. She's taking the smell and she's remembering things. And it's like that works too. That's not. But I think it works in a literal and a metaphorical sense. So that's not like a problem. But yeah, like I said, if you came in and you fixated on that mechanic, it's like that's really not what the film's about. And that's the last thing that I'd mention.
Yeah.
I also find it interesting, that how different the movie crowd is. So on the movie app, you've got one thing. I think the synopsis and their take are pretty good. It's different from Wikipedia, and I think it's written better in terms of the synopsis and take, just brief. Also, you can see the ratings. It's like average 8.3, which is pretty high for a movie. I'm just like, I feel like a majority of people watching this movie have very different thoughts than the critics. And I know viewers can be very different from the critics anyway, but I feel like, I wonder if this happens a lot. Anyway, sorry, I cut in. Simon, everyone else who was speaking.
Man, I was just gonna say, that's why earlier I said that this, if Rob picked this as like a double bill with Perfume, it would have been interesting, because Perfume is literally just about the nose smelling superpowers. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it would have been an interesting double bill to see. But like again, me watching this and checking the wiki and going, okay, it's probably my own fault. I kind of found see if it was more literal or metaphorical when doing a rewatch and try to understand a bit more. But now that you've explained it, I probably will have a go again eventually. And like I'll watch it and go, right, yeah, generational trauma, right? That's explained. But yeah, but that's still a film I have to go rewatch. And like 4 other films I need to rewatch. At least this one has subtitles that I can actually watch. Unlike
the subtitles are quite good actually. Yeah.
I think this is why rewatching is important. You know, I really don't think you get the same amount from just one shot. And Pat can back me up on this. You don't get the same experience. I said you don't get the same experience from watching it once as you do twice.
Everyone's different, I guess.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Everyone is different, but that's just true.
You can just watch it once. It's okay.
You can just
generally,
once.
Generally,
you don't get the same
ones.
But Emmanuel, you asked.
Because Rob pushed it.
But Emmanuel is saying that when he doesn't watch in the exact same way as many people will, you do pause and consider a lot of things. So you take longer to watch it, but you do like revisit like a lot of things in a very piecemeal sort of way. You kind of are, isn't it, with the same consideration as someone who's watching it. I'm not confident he knows I'm talking to. But
Sorry, I'm moving a bit.
No,
yes,
no,
I agree with you completely because I
Thank you.
basically watch it multiple times when I watch it once because I'll keep rewinding parts, reinvestigating parts, watching like different parts of the frame to be like, wait, that happened and then that happened. Oh, I see that. That's a cool way they did that. So yeah, I'm watching it multiple times in one go.
Take that. But yeah, it's you. Do you want to get into favorite scenes?
It's a tough one with this one, isn't it?
No one has any. Whee! I couldn't get past that fucking smell mechanic. It just ridiculous.
Do you know what I do like the karaoke scene. I think that's brilliant.
That is deliciously awkward.
That just opens the door, doesn't it?
Huh?
That just opens the door.
I do love like the bit afterwards where Jimmy's like, "Oh, Vicky picked up on what you were trying to do up there." And it's like, man, you haven't picked up on half of this. Like, it's nothing to do with Vicky picking up.
Oh, I really like how he handles that. Just kind of like, yeah, I think you were trying to say something there, and I think it more or less got what you were looking for.
I really like the sort of the repeated use of it because I was saying to Alec in the week, like it was a bit like when I came out of Aftersun. I came out of Aftersun and I was like, oh, I'd never really thought of Under Pressure as like such a credible like emotional song. And then it was exactly the same with this. Like I came out of it and I was like, oh, I never thought of Total Eclipse of the Heart in this way. It's a really weird one, isn't it? Because you sort of, I suppose our generation, you sort of know it as something that's on VH1 and it's like a bit of a cheesy 80s thing. But I think that this film gives so much meaning to it.
I was just thinking back to that episode of Glee. I was like, oh yeah, that was a great episode.
I never watched Glee.
I know.
Glee is disgusting.
I know.
Disgusting.
Oh,
And this comes from someone who likes Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, when are you picking that, Pat?
Well,
I was talking about you liking that earlier.
was that?
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like they're different films. And they're not different.
You are correct.
Different.
They are different films.
Sorry, Pitch Perfect. I do like Pitch Perfect as well, but I feel like Glee doesn't have the same vibes. Glee is more, it's closer to Hairspray than it is to.
Oh, Hairspray, great.
Like, Pitch Perfect, and Hairspray is good. I mean, I don't like it that much, but that's because of personal things. I think it's a great play, great film, whatever. I think it's good. But I feel like Glee caters more towards the same audience for that, or the same kind of vibe compared to Pitch Perfect. And I think maybe that helps. That's just me.
Yeah, I watched it again on the plane on the way home.
You and your plane films, man. Pitch Perfect and Mean Girls.
Well, the reason for it was I wanted to have I wanted to have a nap, and I thought if I have something playing in my ear that's quite soothing, I might be able to sleep.
Pitch Perfect, soothing. We've got very different definitions of that
one. And all I wanted to do was just watch it and hum along to songs while on the plane. So I didn't end up sleeping at all. That and the fucking tumble dryer fucking shakes that the plane had. Turbulence.
Oh yeah, you had turbulence all the way, didn't you?
From the moment we flew over Vegas all the way home, I fucking felt like I was in a washing machine.
Oh man.
That's all the sins of Vegas. It's like hitting the plane. That's what it is.
It's not just the washing machine that's sort of spinning slowly. It's the one that they spin right at the end of the wash for like 8 hours. And then the pilot, when we landed, said, "Sorry for the few bumps." Few bumps? I thought you were gonna fucking throw me off the plane. Sorry, we're getting a bit side.
You should have said, "You're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Oh, God
You're
damn it.
gonna miss me everywhere. You're gonna miss me by my hair. You're
That's not from
gonna
Pitch
miss me when
Perfect.
I'm gone."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Cops.
Oh, right.
You
they-
stupid idiot. Of course it's from Pitch Perfect.
I never knew Pitch Perfect was so popular because I remember a lot of people doing that during uni, but I never knew where it was from.
Oh, it's fucking great.
You're a
Never
fucking
seen it.
amateur.
Oh, interesting.
See,
Oh, did you watch
Stan,
that?
you
To be
didn't
fair,
realise either.
I only watched it the first
That
time
doesn't
because Anna
make
Kendrick was in it, and then I
Hang
ended up
on.
loving the film.
If you didn't know it and I said you're an amateur and Emmanuel went, I also didn't know it, do you think that's going to make me go, oh, I guess you're both not amateurs?
No, I didn't say I didn't know it. I said interesting that Rob didn't realize.
Oh, I thought
Yeah,
you was on my
suck
side.
my balls, Rob.
I thought you was
But-
backing me up.
You
But the
have
thing
no
is-
idea.
The thing is, my view's gonna be warped because pretty much every film from when we were like 18 for many years, I was working in the cinema when it came out. So I saw a lot of stuff or saw half of films here and there just by dint of me working. So I wouldn't know if things were really popular or like by ticket sales and stuff. So yeah.
You just gave me a flashback to when we went and did that Batman all-nighter.
I really hated that I fell asleep. I was really tired. But
I just
that was
remember us all
great.
going outside between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises and being like, there's a lot of this left.
Wait, okay, I'm very
Oh.
interested. What is the Batman All-Nighter? That sounds
we
like
we
one
saw the
wicked.
Dark Knight trilogy back to back to back, and it started at
You know
like
I'm
midnight.
Oh.
In IMAX as well.
Yeah. What time did it
It
start?
was great.
Was it like midnight or was it 9
It was
o'clock?
really late because it was morning by the time we got out.
Yeah.
And I remember me and Pat shared a love seat.
Oh man. That was
Oh,
so
sorry, a
fucking-
what?
You know, like
Yeah,
the
it was a
double
good
seats
night.
that they used to have. Me and Pat had one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Two
I
large
heard-
blokes
Right.
in the one seat.
No.
So
I
much
heard,
friction.
I heard a love soup. And I was like, what? Sorry, what the fuck is that? I was like, what? Something like very. Never mind. Yeah, anyway.
They spray water and they vibrate, and that's why they have
That was funny because like it was at the Waterloo IMAX, and by the time we saw Dark Knight Rises, I was like, this just looks like any other screen. Like, the novelty is gone.
Could you imagine you get through Batman Begins? That was a 5. And then you get through Dark Knight and you go, that was a 7. And then you go, it's just Dark Knight Rises. That's a
That's just
very long.
Alex's opinion.
That's a very long one. That's an
I actually quite
that's
like
a-
Dark Knight Rises.
Ben
I was
muted me.
excited
I said
to
that's
hear.
Ben muted me, so I wanted to say that was an awfully long one. That's an awfully long
Oh,
one. That's a
man.
3.
Well, that's the problem with Alex. He always thinks his opinion's fact.
Ben.
My opinion
the
is
speech,
fact because it's a fucking long one.
This is where we find out that all these weeks Ben's been quietly muting Emmanuel every time somebody else talks.
I know, I've been muting Alec every time he talks. That's the game.
What a
No.
one that is.
Yeah, I quite liked The Dark Knight Rises. The only thing I wasn't the biggest fan on was some of the plot holes, but to be honest,
Some
if
of the
one of the
plot holes.
people you want in the film dies and then you got to rewrite the whole film, I mean, I'm not saying they should have delayed it, but whatever.
It's actually
You
got
all
one of my
need
favourite scenes in the
Jesus.
trilogy in it.
That boy's got a lovely
Huh?
voice.
No, not that one.
That's still good.
When Bruce is in that pit as he's trying to escape, I thought
Mhm.
that was all really well done,
Oh, that fucking.
and all the
Oh, yeah.
chanting beneath him as well. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, it was
I love
great.
how
They
favourite scenes
really
have gone down to Dark Knight Rises instead of the Five Devils.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
the
know how we got
problem.
into that now.
That's a
Yeah.
fucking shame.
Yeah, how did we get
Or the
to
Five
it? Still
Nevils.
the cinema experience of it.
I don't know.
exactly. I know how we got to it, but it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's because Pat started talking about Pitch Perfect. That was it.
Oh yeah, my fault. Sorry, it's always my fault.
So back to this. No.
Back to the fire level.
So
I think 2 for me, just to like get in quickly. So one's the karaoke scene. I think that's just really well acted. I think when they're holding the mic together, it feels so real, and I think that's brilliant. The other one is at the lake where after Julia's passed out, and then Joanne's like trying to warm her up, and it's when Vicky asks if she can live without her, and Joanne's like, I'm not sure.
Gay.
No.
Literally.
That's not the scene that was very open to their weird or to their more lesbian relationship. It's when they were doing the dinner scene with the octopus, and they had a really weird situation with the octopus, and I was like, there's obviously something going on here. And unfortunately, they had to have something that had tentacles in it, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense, I guess." Yeah, you know, it's a French film.
Anime fan.
Bond would
Yeah,
call
well, I
it
mean,
Octopussy.
yeah. Oh, damn it, Pat! You stole my joke twice.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Me and Sam are on the same wavelength tonight.
Damn it.
I'm just speaking to the draw.
But yeah, the favorite scene is because when before that scene, she was like, I don't want her in the house, or I don't want her to stay here. I didn't know if it was something beforehand. Then afterwards you realise,
in the house. I put the little box out and she's just ignoring it.
But then afterwards you realise the reason why is because as you said, there was the temptation of her coming back into their lives. I was like, oh, so that explains the sort of like weird dynamics they had earlier with the dinner making scene beforehand. I was like, explains a lot more. But yeah, that's my favorite scene.
Nice.
Because it had a lot of connotations there, which didn't know 100% worth what they were 100%. But after you rewatch it, you go, makes sense.
I gotta say though, I did hate the way she went, oh, definitely. Thanks to the octopus. I'm now gonna smash it against your fridge. And I was like, what are you doing? I think it's
man.
I was like, the fucking sideboard, yes, that's fine. You're not hurting anything. The fridge, no. What are you doing?
I feel like there's something there we don't get.
I think if you're Joanne in that scene, though, you're probably going, she's done worse than this.
Wait, what?
I'm lucky she's just fucked up my fridge. That's it. I walked away with my life.
Sorry, I missed what you said, Rob.
I said if you're Joanne in that scene, seeing her beat up an octopus with your fridge, you're probably going, she's done worse with this. I'll leave her to it.
I guess so. I know. Before favorites, I know we're doing favorite scenes, but I think one of the reasons I rated Enjoyment 7, just on a personal level, it was like, how to say, it was.
Was it because of Jimmy was rude to a lady at some point?
No, he was like, in the context of everything, he was fine.
Yeah.
It was more frustrating, and I know this is realistic, and I'm not saying the film shouldn't have been like this. It was just frustrating how, like, so many people just weren't talking to each other. It was just like, if there were many characters who were like talking, actually just being honest and talking and saying what they're going through, etc., things might turn out a bit differently.
Oh, what, as in like in the marriage and stuff?
Just in everything. Like, the kid, it makes sense because it's a kid, but it's still frustrating. The mom, dad, there's just lots of things going on, and it's just like, and there's so many kind of like hiding stuff from someone else, or not saying something, or not, and it's just like,
I
it's
was
kind of
waiting for someone to go, like, you know, like when she's at the school kind of thing, and the lady's like, oh, how dare you say this? And she doesn't go like, oh, I'm French, so I can be as rude as I like.
oh, but like, it's not like different characters don't try to get someone to talk. Like, it happens all throughout the film. And it's just like, oh, are they gonna no, they're just gonna stay silent or say something else or deflect or do this and do. I'm like, okay. Like, that kind of thing is always frustrating, and I think because like so many of the characters were doing it the whole way throughout the film, it's like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna, I'll just watch, see how this goes. Yeah, but otherwise, yeah, like I said, it was good. I think my favorite scene actually is probably when Julia, as far as our knowledge, sees Vicky for the first time. And like her shock, being shocked also shocked me. I was just like, oh, I wasn't expected like that. And it's just like, what the crap? It's just like, and I don't know. It would have been nice if like um like you said, the film can be taken in multiple ways, and maybe that's what they wanted. So they don't really have Julia really talk about or confirm or saying that, oh, the little girl that I saw all that time, it's your daughter. It's like all she says is, I know what you're doing. Stop before it gets out of hand. And then she runs out the kitchen, of course. And obviously you can take it multiple ways. And the one thing we saw that could have got out of hand, you could say, was when she put all the boiled horrible smells stuff in her under her bed. But we don't see anything else. So it's just like, is there something else going off camera that we don't know about? Or is there something else she's inferring? Or do they both have, like you were saying, Rob, do they both have some kind of mysterious gift that she can like kind of tell what's going on, what she's doing? It's but
I mean, there's a couple of ways to take that though, because I think you could either go, well, that's Julia saying like, you're you're too curious about what's happened between us, and you don't want to find out what's happened between us, kind of thing. Or the other way is that if there is some kind of like magical gift that they've got, or like if it is literal, then it's like the thing that's happened as the thing that's happened as a result of this has landed up with me accidentally burning down a building that everyone I knew was in. So pack it in, kind of thing.
yeah, it is. It's an interesting one.
It's a definite success film. Also, really like the soundtrack. Very cool.
Yeah, same
Oh
actually.
yeah, forgot
Yeah,
about that. The
okay.
soundtrack was really good. Really like that.
You can find the soundtrack on Spotify. That was
Oh,
What do you
jeez,
mean?
Alex now plugging.
Yeah.
Is it called the 5 Jingles?
What?
No, never mind.
It's called the Five Devils soundtrack. You
Okay.
fool.
Yeah, but is it called the 5 Jingles?
No. It's called
Okay.
the Five Devils soundtrack. You fool.
Jingle all the way.
Don't.
5-Finger Death Punch.
Ugh.
Oh,
And Five-Finger Death.
Can you send a link to that in the chat, Alec? Thanks.
Fine.
'Cause, yeah, I'd like to listen to that at some point. My listen to list is too long, just like my watch list and my read list. And everything list. Is that from something specifically?
Borat.
Yes, that makes sense. There's someone I follow on YouTube who does that. Exactly like that. I was just like, I forgot it was in Borat. I wasn't a fan, so that's probably why it's gone out my memory. It's not my type of humor.
One of my fondest memories is when I really wanted to watch Borat, but my nan was up, and I was like, there's an easy solution to both our problems. And so I just put it on. She got about 10 seconds in, going home. And then I got to watch Borat. that was the end of it.
Wait, who?
My grandmother.
Oh, interesting.
She didn't get on with Borat whatsoever, and I think that's a shame. Because it was very fun.
I don't blame anyone. Oh,
to be honest, like the only reason that I'm like a little bit sort of forgiving of Borat, because I don't find Borat funny at all, but the reason I'm kind of like Borat's got a pass with me is because of what he did to Rudy Giuliani.
What did he do?
So in the sequel to Borat, there's a scene where there's basically an actress playing Borat's daughter. I think it's his daughter, and she basically like there's quite an elaborate setup where her and Rudy Giuliani are in a bedroom together, and he thinks that she's just like he doesn't know that it's part of Borat or anything like that. So they're in this hotel room together, and he starts taking his trousers off and like all of this stuff, and then the film crew comes in, and he's like, "Oh shit."
Oh man.
I got about half an hour into that film. I was like, I can't watch anymore.
I don't even remember why I watched it or who. I must have been watching it with someone.
Okay, the soundtrack is in the film chat.
Thanks.
That's okay. No need to think. I haven't said my favorite scene yet. My favorite scene is I'll do it. My favorite scene is when Jimmy starts fucking the burn victim. That was pretty great. Big fan. Not because I'm into that, but I'm kind of like just a little bit in. No, I'm not into it. I just thought it was like a good little bit of agency for his character. I was sort of like, I'm watching a guy cheat on his wife, but I was also like, you know what? Fair enough. I was like, if I was in that marriage, I'd probably cheat too. Like, just, yeah, you get your rocks off, man. Fair enough. You've been nothing but reasonable about everything. Go for it. And yeah, I think as well, like, knowing that, knowing that basically, like, she came off like not as badly. She came off like nearly as badly as Julia as well. they're just kind of like, you're kind of fucked. You don't have any, internet dating is not really like a choice for you because you're a burn victim. So that's it's a sad reality, but it is a reality. And it's like, yeah, you can't really get with anything else. It's basically just kind of ruin your life. And it's like, yeah, there you go. Like, you both kind of find a bit of happiness in each other. And it's like, it's something that's not like, it's not great. And, this is a situation that no one's like, it's benefiting like very few people. But like, I think it's just kind of like watching him be like very controlled and very I don't want to say repressed, but like him being a very like controlled presence throughout the story, and then watched him do that. I'm like, yeah, good on you, Jimmy. Go right ahead. Like, no.
He's a despicable bastard.
What?
I don't think so.
Cheating on his wife.
You cheat on her too.
She was kind of cheating on him as well, really. With like, I mean, it's complicated, isn't it?
She's only with him because she fancied his sister, and then that didn't work out.
Yeah, but at that point she hadn't cheated on him.
She basically went out and like outed everyone in a karaoke song. You don't know that bitch no fealty. Like,
that was like, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as what he did.
Yeah, I don't think he did a single thing wrong. I think he was fine.
Oh.
It is a difficult one because it's not cut and dry either way. Like it's because that's the thing. Like it's like what I was saying before. Like you don't know how they got together, and you don't know how much of it he sort of understands, and you don't know. Well, he doesn't know sort of like where they are in their marriage and all that kind of stuff. Like it's there's a lot of moving parts to it.
You've been married to this woman for so long, and you've had a kid together, and you kind of the grumpy phase, the grumpy miserable phase starts, and you go like, it'll be over in a week, and then it's not over in a week, it's not over in 2 weeks, it's not over in 3 weeks, it's not over in a month, and it's not over in 2 months, and it's been fucking 5 years, and she's still fucking miserable. And it's like, you know what?
Yeah,
she just fancied my sister anyway. And she's just now gone up on stage and sung Total Eclipse of the Heart on stage in front of the entire town. And she's just made it very fucking clear she only fancied her, really. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and also they're French. So it's kind of like, it might have been like a cultural addition.
It's like a fucking jungle out there. It's dog eat dog. Like, it's just shit. Like, do it. Do whatever. No laws. I saw Ben nod there. He knows what's up. Fucking French.
Got some anti-French here.
Yeah, fuck them. They're good drivers, though. They're very good drivers. I'll give them good driving.
It's probably best you don't, cuss everyone. Not everyone is bad.
What can I say? I quite like French girls. So I'm going to defend this one.
Girl. How many French girls you?
Sorry, has anyone watched Poor Things?
Yes.
Sorry, what?
We have.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my god, how incredible was that film?
The next Marvel thing.
Oh wait,
good things.
In jest, or are you being serious?
Pat? No, I mean it completely.
Wait, what's the name of the film?
Poor Things.
Poor Things.
Yeah.
Okay,
like someone who's
because
poor.
I completely heard something completely different. I was like,
Marvel
wait,
Studios.
what the fuck is Porn Things? And like, is this another French film? It's just like, okay, Poor Things. Okay, fuck. Okay, maybe.
I was just thinking about. Sorry, what did you say? What you
So
say?
maybe that time someone your mic really did cut out slightly, or I just misheard you. Sorry about that, Manuel. I was like, oh, it's another French film. It's just like about sex. I was like, oh yeah, it explains a lot.
I mean, they could have called it porn things.
I mean, there was a lot of sex in it, and they were in France for quite a bit of it.
C'est la vie.
Sorry, on a very quick side note, do you see why I said there felt like really small elements that reminded me of Antichrist, but that were very different from Antichrist?
I didn't see much of it, to be fair.
Fair enough. I just thought you got William Dafoe. There's a whole bunch of sex. There's kind of some messed up stuff going on because, like, is she too young?
Yeah.
Is she old enough? It's that kind of borderline, like, you've got kind of.
Yeah, I do get where you're coming from now. The William Dafoe thing, but there was also nearly a specific scene that I thought might happen but didn't happen.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the film we were actually talking about, and I was like, Willem Dafoe's not in. Who did you confuse with Willem Dafoe? If you've confused someone with Willem Dafoe, they are an ugly motherfucker.
Joanne's dad.
Do you know, I did have a weird thing actually where, like, when I watched it the second time, I was kind of like half expecting him to be Gerard Depardieu for some reason.
Where's Whoopi Goldberg when you need her?
It was weird. Like, it's just like my memory just inserted him in that role for some reason.
That'd have been fantastic if her dad was Whoopi Goldberg.
I was only making a reference because of Gerard Depardieu.
Because if they got married, she'd be Whoopi Dippy.
I was just making a joke because.
Oh, that tickles me every time. Thank you for amusing me, Rob. Favourite scenes? I'll be honest, my favourite scenes were Joanne swimming. Outside of that,
hey, we know. That's
Simon's face then would have been a perfect gift.
Perfect.
Outside of that, I think it's the scene when Vicky makes all her classmates fall asleep with the smell. I was like, that's probably how people reacted when I farted around them.
Also, you notice how after they like went unconscious that time, like after that, the next time the girl kind of approaches her in like while she's alone, she doesn't call her name. She just like, would you like to play? And she's like, no, and then that's it. So I wonder if it had an impact.
Please don't hurt me.
Yeah, I wonder if she's just like, this girl's weird. She's got powers. Like, how did she just knock us out?
You know, that was actually quite funny reading the subtitles for that scene because they had us say "beat it," which is a very American term.
Yeah.
But I don't particularly think that was what she said. She probably said something like "get lost," but I suppose it's depending on.
Yeah, it's probably the equivalent in French to American English.
Yeah, it's just the word for surrender.
What?
He goes like, surrender! And she's like, okay, well, I'm French.
Okay,
Such a child.
That was up there with when you called John a princess. Oh, Simon, you weren't around for that. That was fucking amazing. We were on PlayStation. We were on PlayStation. I can't even remember what we were playing, but John was telling Pat what to do for like an extended period of time. And Pat got pissed off and he was like, "You princess."
What are you playing? Wait, What are you playing, Mario Party?
I said stop mothering me.
Yeah. It came after an extended period of Pat saying stop mothering. You princess. Oh, that was brilliant.
I feel like I've become this group's Roy Keane.
I don't know.
I just say something and everyone laughs.
Yeah, I never expected Roy Keane to be that person.
You baby. Any more favourite scenes? Ben, what's your film?
I actually really liked. One thing I was talking to Rob about earlier, and you guys could have joined in with. But it was sort of about like juxtaposing like fire and water as like actual sort of things that can kill you, and it's not just like two Indian blokes.
Shit, I actually thought about that when I first saw that. I didn't want to say it.
It's sort of like, oh yeah, these are these are actual elemental forces, and it's just kind of like, I thought it was very interesting, like the thing that Julia sort of like just to be like a happy memory is like when her and Joanne were playing in like the lake and everything. See, that's water. But then when she wants to kill herself, she's sort of like trying to remind herself about the good times with Joanne, and it goes back to when she goes to kill herself in the icy lake, and she's like invoking the scent, and yeah, it's all sort of like, you know, she ruined her life with fire, and then she's going to end her life with water, and it's like, that's kind of neat. I kind of like that. I like all that stuff. It's very, you know, I don't want to say it's complicated symbolism, but like it's pretty. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%, man.
But
then you have RRR, where it's like, no, it's not Avatar.
Yeah, fire, water, wind.
Well, then you just have RRR, where the bloke's like, I am the fire man. And then you have the water guy, and he goes, I am the water man. And then
I mean, that was quite epic, though, you know?
It's that,
all the fire,
I don't.
The tigers.
Is it epic? Is it epic?
Yes,
Well, I mean,
it
like,
is.
you know, one is the fire man and one is the water lady, and they have the story of the kid. And I was just like, it's literally. I did see that beginning scene. I was like, oh, she's a aquatic instructor, and like he's a fire man. And I was like, oh yeah, fire and water. It's But I was like, no, I didn't want to think about that when I first saw it. I was like, no, let's just put that in the back of your head. But I did write it in my notes, and I was like, yeah, I was like,
that'd be really bad if like she was doing like the arson bit and it was go and then she's like gonna go kill herself, and then it's like beam. You just like stop it. Go away.
What are you talking about?
Your silly songs. When they're doing the
well, I mean, if
no,
she started to burn the Christmas tree.
Hang on, Simon, hold on, I'm explaining it to the man. He's lost. In RRR, when they're doing the final stupid fight scene.
Oh.
And Rama comes in, and he's got the fancy orange trousers, and then the soundtrack goes. And then Beam comes out of the water, and he's got a fucking spear because he's Aquaman, and everyone goes, Beam.
That was so good.
Like, so cool. And
what I would say is, if you like that so much, I know you don't. If you like that so much, watch A Tale of the Katakaras. You'll get along with it so great. To be honest, it's very different from RRR though.
Anything you got to roll the R's for him.
You don't have to roll the R's.
Yeah, it's like Naruto. You go like, maybe not.
I mean, unless you want to speak Japanese with a Japanese accent, like it's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. No one takes offense.
How do you say Naruto?
Like
Naruto.
you just said Naruto.
Yeah. Oh, you say Naruto. You go Naruto. It's like
Naruto. But you don't have to pronounce it like that. You're not Japanese. No one's judging you here.
No, people say it like that, and I don't want to go like, oh, I really like Naruto, and then someone goes, Naruto, and I'm like, no, just Naruto. Fuck you. Like, you know,
it's like someone saying, oh, I like Pokemon. It's just like it's a very westernized. It's okay.
There's no R's in Pokemon. Fine.
It's also not pronounced like that.
It's like how people say ramen. You just say ramen. You don't go ramen. You know,
No. Instead they go ramen. Na.
Now, in all fairness, I have avoided croissants for years because of this dilemma.
What'd you say, Bob?
I said I have avoided croissants for years because of this.
There was a kid at school, and he used to ask me. This isn't to do with ours, to be completely fair. But he'd always come up and he'd go like, "Hey, did you watch Gintama?" And I just avoid it on principle. I'll be like, "Nah, I didn't." And he'd go like, "You'd really like Gintama?" And I'm like, "I don't care."
But
like, just because he'd say it like kind of with the Japanese sort of inflection, I'd be like, "You know what? I'm not interested. I'm not gonna watch it."
But he's pronouncing it like it's a J, but it's spelled with a G.
He was a fucking twat.
It's Gintama.
Gintama.
Yeah.
You know what? He might have been saying Gintama, but I wasn't interested. Like this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he did say Gintama.
Yeah. Never mind. I don't want to argue with people who are not here. It just sounds weird.
He won't ever. You won't ever see him because
years ago did this.
He's a
no, I didn't do. Oh, right, you're talking about but I guess I get what Rob says as well. It's like saying croissants because did you say croissant? I don't know.
No, we'd always go to Greg's and he'd ask for a crescent. And it's a croissant. And he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but that's why you skip croissants and just go, can I get a pain and chocolate? Wait, what?
Man, that's a bridge that I wouldn't dare to cross now.
Can I get some pain and chocolate?
Yeah, it would be for me.
Some people pay good money for that.
Oh man.
This reminds me of that Johnny Depp film that I won't pronounce properly.
The one my mind went to is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
No. Chocolate.
Oh.
Chocolate.
Pareto of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's all right. Unless you're actually in that country, don't worry.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you're speaking to an actual person who, I would say the only people who probably will take offense are, ironically, quite a few French people. Some people don't take offense and they just instinctively correct you. I'm talking specifically about French. It's just in their culture. It's just like, oh, you said it wrong. Let me help you say it right. Oh, you mean this? Okay. Okay.
This reminds me of that time that Steve McLaren started pronouncing everything Dutch when he took the
oh god, that was so
20
weird.
job.
That was so strange.
We actually covered that in my PE class.
Oh, really?
I actually know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's
because my PE teacher was so annoyed at it, and he was like playing it. He was like, look at this fucking idiot, and he's just sitting there going like, yes, as you say, and then he's just speaking English in a Dutch accent, and he's saying like, yes, as you say, it is this, and it's like that helps them out anyway. Like I don't know what he
did the same thing at Marseille.
Oh, man, it's so weird, man. Like, I love
Wait.
the idea that he's just gone to a press conference and they're like, "Can you speak Dutch?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he sits down and he's like, "Shit," I said, "Yeah."
My uncle used to do the exact same thing. Like when we went to France and we had this like villa sort of thing. And he was trying to communicate to him, but basically he was just speaking English with a French accent. And like, he'd go, and he'd just go like, "We broke a glass in the cupboard."
What? Why did you sound like a fucking robot?
This doesn't help him. This doesn't. Just doing it in his accent doesn't actually help him whatsoever. He doesn't know what you're saying.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I was like, "I love a bread."
That's so disrespectful. just talking. The way that no, you go up on some stage conference and just talking in English, but with your version of a Dutch accent. It's like, dude, just what are you doing? I thought at first you were saying that he had a period where he was saying a lot of his kind of words with like certain Dutch things with the way the Dutch would say them. Then I was just like, oh, fair enough. If you're influenced by them and you're around them, you're gonna start saying things like that. But nah.
The weirdest thing was that he actually started speaking in like broken English as well. So he'd be doing a press conference and he'd start saying things like, "Oh, as you know how you say," and it's like, what? that's your language, dude.
Would you care for a smoke and a pancake? Smoke and a crepe?
Did he ever explain his behavior?
No.
I think he just moved on from it.
Yeah, no, fucking our assistant manager.
This is what ultimately turned me against them. Because when we went to France, my cousin wouldn't speak to the French because we were like, "Oh, you got to speak to the French because you've been learning French," and he was going like, "Oh, I can't." And I was like, "For fuck's sake!" And I saw this woman, and we went. We were just in like this like just middle of nowhere fucking French town. I just went up to her and I went, "Pardon, madame, où est le boulangerie?" And it was just like it was, perfectly passable, I think. But she just looked me up and down and just went, "Paris," and I was just like, "We're not anywhere near fucking Paris. What the fuck? I just want to know what the fucking bakery is, you bitch. Like, what's going on?" She was just so rude for like no fucking reason whatsoever. I was just like, "Why are you? I've come here. I have spoken in your language. I have used your fucking accent. Like, what?"
It is a European thing, I think, because like, there's this thing recently where like there's loads of graffiti going up in Barcelona that are things like "tourists go home" and like "the only good tourist is a dead tourist." Things like that.
Whoa.
Like they're really angry about tourists in Barcelona at the minute.
Do you know why?
No idea, man.
I wonder why they think
they're all bloody French in Barcelona.
I wonder why because they must think tourists are ruining things. But what do they think? What do they believe they're ruining? Because it's just like the whole thing with Catalan. And it's just like tourism is a huge part of it, and obviously the whole independence kind of thing, whatnot. But like when tourism is a big part of your economy, just like with London, like why would you want that to stop? It's helping you, unless they're having really big problems with foreigners.
Yeah, I'm just looking now because I never thought to before. I accidentally typed "Why do Barcelona hate touristas?" which is a barista on holiday.
Yeah, not.
Oh, apparently it's just that there's so many tourists now that it's really overcrowded.
Them not coming over here, spending their money, helping boost the economy. Just terrible, terrible shit.
That sounds like you want directions and you go, "Hey, where is this?" And I just ran into like too many people who've gone like that.
I guess it's one of those things where it's just like, because this happens obviously with a lot of people working in central London. Every time you go on lunch, there's tons of tourists, so everything takes like 2 times as long. Every time you're trying to go to work, you're like, well, not going to work, but like in the middle of the day, whatever. It's just a ton of tourists in the way. It's kind of like that whole kind of thing where it's like, imagine if you worked on somewhere like Oxford Street, and every time to leave the building, you just had to be in a sea of tourists all the time who are walking slow and not really going anywhere because, of course, they're being tourists, which is fine.
Yeah, I do find I have to like remind myself of that when I'm in central London because it's like, I don't know, it's because like we've all grown up there and like to us it's just like the places that we go and like whatever. And so like when you get annoyed at somebody like stopping all of a sudden in front of you and things like that, I do have to remind myself to like to them it's a holiday and it's quite special. So just get over it kind of thing.
I remember my.
Okay.
Sorry, I remember my Trinidadian uncle. He had family, and I was like, why? And they went, because we're here on holiday. And I remember finding it so fucking weird to think that someone would willingly come here on holiday. Because of why are they on holiday here? It's just London. Like what's you just get charged a lot to eat normal food. I don't get it. Like what's
I remember last year sitting in Leicester Square and these two Australian blokes walked past. And I overheard them talking, and they were like, "Oh, can you believe it? We're in Leicester Square. This is so cool." And I was like, "Yeah, actually, it is. Like, even though this is normal to me, like, this is really cool."
I mean, admittedly, I've had relatives come over from like Hong Kong to say, "I've heard that England is very cold, wet, and miserable." I didn't realize that was all true. I didn't realize how cold, wet, and miserable. This is exciting. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's because it was pissing down that when they came. I was like, you're enjoying the cold weather. Yeah, it's never like this in Hong Kong. I was like,
to be fair, if I was in Hong Kong, I probably would like.
I mean, it's just hot and humid, so it's not cold and wet, so it's a bit different.
You've just reminded me to check on those free tickets to Hong Kong.
I think I had this conversation with you last time, Rob. I don't know if you have to be a citizen or not.
I think we're going to have this conversation every January.
Also, unfortunately, with that many tourists in Oxford Street, I realised there's a very, very high level of pickpocketing. You realise in Oxford Street because of about tourists. There's so much nowadays. Just like you just see like every few moments you go, someone's getting their phone nicked. It's just like it happens constantly. So sad. But anyways, we've diverted from this movie quite a bit. We've talked to us about a bunch of tourism and holidays. Is there anything else you want to talk about this particular French film?
The bloody French. No, it's all right. No, the French are very good drivers. And also, if you get the chance to drive in France, it's bloody lovely. It's so much better than where there's roadworks every in different places. They just move them. I don't think that the Kent flag should be a horse because horses run many horses run long distances very, very fast. And that's just not reflective of Kent anymore. It's the traffic cone. They're stationary. They don't move. You see them all the time. And, they're just a big fucking nuisance. So, yeah, I think that's why Kent should really go to traffic.
Okay.
Other than that, I thought it was a really good film. I was really impressed with this film. Really cool. I think
it's my little streak with you, Alec. Is that my foreign language films are the ones that get you?
Well, I think it's doing so much, and it's sort of like it's quite a universal sort of message that's going on, and I think if you get like I said earlier, if you get hung up on the whole thing of like you can't smell things and go back in time, it's like yeah, I know, we all know. However, I think you kind of missed the point.
Oh yeah, there was a random. You just reminded me of something that I wasn't the biggest fan of. I was just like, why is the mom being like that?
Was it that you
When
can't smell things and go back in time? Or
no.
oh, okay, good.
When she first realized her daughter's sense of smell is pretty super. Like it's the type of level of kind of like people who have that kind of sense of smell can get paid really well. And like that you have sommeliers, you have all these kind of people all over the world who get paid for their nose.
You say
They,
Somalians?
no, sommeliers. Sorry.
Oh, right.
Though probably not them specifically, but you have people who get paid a lot of money for that. It's just like that should seem pretty cool. Like your kid has a gift. That's great.
Yeah.
And the first thing you go to your dad's like, oh, it's kind of weird. She's got this weird thing to smell. Like, wait, what? Why is it weird? Did like did I miss something? Is there something that's like disturbing about it? Like, what? Why?
I think it's human nature to sort of see something that's not the norm and think it's a strange thing.
Yeah.
Guess so.
I suppose it's one of those things as well, though, isn't it? Where it's like, if you've been through all the things that she's been through, and now like the only bit of light in your life is your kid, and there's something that's like a bit strange about them, you probably would worry that it's for negative reasons.
Yeah,
I do love.
you kind of see it happening, and you go like, maybe there's Somalia. Oh no, wait.
I do love how she's like, let's not tell her dad.
Yeah, and why would he put her into therapy? Because she has a really good sense of smell.
Well,
I
no,
was so
to be fair
confused.
though, remember the bit about how he grew up in Senegal, and so obviously like there's kind of different attitudes towards lots of different things. Like, I mean, the whole thing about like left-handed people being the devil is still quite prominent over there. So it's like,
oh, fair
They
enough.
fucking are though. You lefties here.
I'm sort of a lefty, depending
Devil.
on the activity. Like I write
Me on the
right-handed,
Oh.
but I throw left arm.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Which one do you wank with?
Both. It's like a plunger. Oh, fucking hell.
Okay.
I just killed the chat. Oh, man.
Oh no.
In all seriousness, Rob. When I had my shoulder surgery years ago, I had to learn to do activities with my left arm to be able to do it. So I tried practicing bowling with my left arm, and that's how I got strength.
I don't think Rob's even there.
I think Rob might be dead. Is he on the floor?
I can just see these two mangled feet. I think he died.
Sorry about that.
Oh dear.
Rob, are you okay?
He's gone. There's no saving him. Just like oh dear.
Okay. Well. What'd you pick?
Oh, can I announce it?
Yeah, I think it's better.
I think that's a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
So my film is an iconic one. It's going to be 30 years old this year. I'll post it in the Facebook in a second, but it is The Shawshank Redemption, playing on Amazon Prime for free. You don't need to go on Apple TV for this one. Don't worry.
Dun, dun,
Oh, this
dun.
might be my first straight 10s of the year.
We only got 4 picks in.
Yeah, I know. No, this is an all-time great. I can't wait to watch this again.
Yeah.
He even pinched it from my pick list.
Yeah. The old I think it's one that I know it has to be in film club for like the discussion alone. And I know that most of us will appreciate it, and I think it's going to be those ones that's going to be an interesting one. Even if you have seen it before, it'd be great to revisit. And if you haven't, it's a must-see.
I'll be honest, I would have picked it by now, but I do remember Emmanuel saying a few times that he wasn't too keen on watching it again. But
was it this one or Green Mile? But either way, both of them eventually.
Like, I'm very much looking forward to watching this again.
Wonderful.
I think it was this one because Green Mile I haven't actually seen all the way through, only clips. But it's been years, so I'll get ready to be very satisfied.
Yeah, it is an emotional one. Don't get me wrong.
Are you all right, Rob?
Yeah. Well, what's the matter?
Alec was dying with laughter and you disappeared.
Oh.
I
It's all right,
assumed
man.
you'd done
It didn't
And Ben
upset
announced
me.
his film.
Is it the one that I think I know?
The Lambshank Redemption, yes. Wonderful.